Who doesn't like a little fried food every now and then, right? I'm going to show you a very easy fried flatbread that is going to blow your socks off. Diwali is a time of the year when lots of sweets are exchanged and made in every Indian Hindu home. But for meals, we usually make something called Pooris, which are fried flatbreads. This is what I grew up eating. And even though we were a meat eating family, on Diwali day, we would always observe a vegetarian meal, that too without onion and garlic, because this was the meal that was placed at the altar when we made our prayers and offered our prayers for the year to Goddess Lakshmi and Lord Ganesh. So let's get started and let me show you how to make the simple fried bread called Pooris. We are going to use whole wheat flour for this recipe, but a lot of cultures also use bleached flour, which is maida. All right, so without any further ado, I'm going to get started. Typically, these puris are served with curries or semi-dry dishes, which could be potatoes, it could be chickpea curry, it could be a potato and chickpea curry. Some people also cook bottle gourd or pumpkin curry. All of that works really well with puris. And when in the evening we sit down for our prayers, this is what is made for the whole family to sit and enjoy. So for this recipe, we are going to need whole wheat flour. We're going to need water. The ratio of flour to water is 2:1. We're also going to add some salt and some paprika. That's all we're going to add. If you want to make it more flavorful, you can add carom seeds or nigella seeds, whatever your family likes. Add the water slowly. This is the real trick to getting the dough to be really nice and tight. It has to be a firm dough, not a soft dough like rotis. So the texture of the dough is really different. I'm using a half a cup of water to 1 cup of flour, but I won't be adding the entire half cup at once. I will reserve some of it to adjust the consistency and texture of the dough as I'm actually kneading along. I've also added 1 teaspoon of oil. Doing this to the batter actually helps you to make puris that do not sink to the bottom of the pan. And also, it helps the puris to not absorb too much oil when they're being fried. So I've kneaded the dough. I've allowed it to rest for a little bit. And then, see, this is how I did it. So knead the dough between your hands, crush it, make sure the water and the oil are well incorporated into the dough. It's a lot of arm power. Your fingers are going to get tired, but at the end of it, it's all worth it. So this is just the dough making. Watch out for part 2, and I will see you real soon. We're not done. There's a lot of technique involved. I'll see you in the next. Now we come to the part where we've allowed the dough to rest for a little bit. We are going to roll it like a log on our countertop or our cutting board, and we are going to make it really, really smooth. You may need to add a few drops of oil to make it very smooth, but if it looks like cellulite, you're not quite done yet. And if it looks like a baby's bum, I know it's creepy, but that's the best way to describe it. Anyway, so break away little tiny balls out of the logs of dough and then roll them out. I don't like to dredge them in flour because then that flour tends to burn in the oil. So just add 1 drop of oil so it'll help you to spread out and roll out the puris into the perfect shape. And use a rolling pin, use the back and forth motion. Now remember, puris are supposed to be a little bit thick so that they will puff up as soon as they hit the hot oil. Roll it very patiently. They don't need to be very big. And then drop them in the hot oil. Now look carefully at this technique. This is called basting. And this is something that you need to do if you don't have too much oil in your pan. So I'm not deep frying this because if your puris are going to dunk right into the water, into the oil, I wish we could make them in water, then it'd be 0 calories. But anyway, if you're going to fry them with a lot of oil, you may not need to do this step. But I don't like to throw away the oil or waste the oil, so I try to use it in less oil. I put them into the oil, and then as soon as I see bubbles around the periphery of the puri, I start basting it with hot oil so that it is surrounded by heat on both sides. That's what leads them to puff up like a football and then separate into something that has 2 layers, even though it started out as 1 layer. Like, it's a total mystery, but that's how we do it. So it's the perfect accompaniment with your potato curry. Put it at the altar. Happy Diwali!